Hello everyone and welcome back to Hermitcraft in 1.13. No, we're not in 1.14 just yet. This is a copy of the world that I've downloaded to my computer and it rains right as I start recording a video. That is just typical. So we are in single player Minecraft, which means I can make a copy of the world and load it up with 1.14. The objective of this video is simply to just get a feel for what this world is going to be like in the next update of Minecraft. We're going to be going around the world just trying to find if there's any quirkiness, get a feel for what performance is like, and then we're going to do some more specific things like visit mob farms and compare the rates between the two updates. We will also be checking out villagers as well, as these are subject to change in 1.14. Before we get to that though, I will be running both of the worlds in the same type of environment. That means all of the same settings inside of here. We're going to have our view distance set to 16 in both 1.13 and 1.14. I'm going to keep the same sort of programs running on my computer as to not influence it by having too much stuff running at once. Now here in the edit world menu of Minecraft 1.14 you can optimize the world and get it ready for playing in the next update. I've already done this and I've actually made two copies of the world. We've got one where we're going to optimize the world and then one where we're going to erase the cache data as well. And the process of converting one of these worlds took about 15 minutes in total to do, so between the two of them it was about half an hour. Well, my friends, this reminds me of being a kid and playing games on a console with split screen. What I have right now is two Minecrafts running at the same time. The one on the left, the one that is currently moving, is the world with the cleared cache data, and the one on the right over here is the one without it. And what I've been doing is sort of flying around the world and just trying to find any weird lighting glitches or problems, and I haven't really noticed a single thing different between the two worlds. So it looks like clearing the cache didn't make any difference, but here's something really cool that I can do. If I just drop down into the world like this and we look into a bunch of caves, I figured this is where we're probably most likely to see some lighting glitches. So I can press F3 and C and that puts the location on my clipboard, and then I can paste it into this world and be looking in the exact same direction again. So I've been flying around and I haven't really found anything. So for the Hermitcraft world, it looks like erasing the cache data isn't going to make much of a difference. There is, however, one big issue that many people in the community have been talking about, and I have witnessed it just traveling around at normal speed. And now I'm going to force it by flying like this. When I fly really fast, you can see the world is struggling to load strips of chunks. It is rather bad. And I'm forcing this by flying fast, but sometimes even when just traveling on ground, in creative mode, if I were to switch into that, and wow, that was actually quite a big delay getting me into creative mode. I mean, look at this funkiness. This is not good. So I've spent more time doing laps around the island, and it does feel like it's the same areas that have trouble with chunk loading, but we don't need to investigate it that much. We know it's here. Mojang are probably going to be patching it with 1.14.1. So now we stand outside of iTrade, which could become a victim of the update with all the changes to villagers, but to my surprise, every single village in here has actually gone to the new update just fine. They've kept their profession and they've kept all of their trades as well. Now I've had tweets from some of you telling me that you've updated your world and that all your villagers have lost their trades. I'm going to guess it's probably a bit of a roll of the dice. Every now and then someone is going to lose out, but it looks like Impulse isn't one of those people. So I went around and checked most of these and they've all kept the trades. Now one thing we don't have in this area is lots of lecterns for the librarians, and I've got a feeling that these might be tagged as 1.13 villagers and they will just keep their profession regardless. But if I come in here and start placing down some different types of blocks, will we see any of them change profession? Because these blocks could very easily interfere if you have a bunch of villagers in an area. And it looks like it's doing absolutely nothing. So my guess is that there's actually an exception and that villagers from 1.13 will just get to keep their trade. I've also got a bed here as well. I figured one of the new things villagers do is seek out a bed, and yeah, maybe it'll make a difference. So I've let them out to wander and explore a little bit, and it seems like they're trying to make babies. Maybe a few more beds in the area will allow them to do that, but notice how all of them are still librarians. Now up the top here we have a shepherd, so this villager has noticed the loom blocks down below. This was actually a nitwit before. I came up here and there are quite a few nitwits hanging out. I believe there was another one just over here somewhere. Yes, it's this fella here. You were a nitwit, weren't you? So your 1.13 nitwits will actually pick up on blocks in the area and change profession. So it's back to the split screen now, and this time we have 1.14 on the left and 1.13 on the right, and I was teleporting to different places in the Hermitcraft world and just watching the frame rate on that area for a while, and 1.14 is significantly better in many places, sometimes near as much as double the amount of frames, as long as there wasn't a lot of entities in that area. Things like armor stands and item frames seem to bring down the frame rates. While conducting these tests, I was also watching my task manager as well to see how much CPU, RAM and GPU these programs were using, and the highlighted one is 1.13. It was always using just a little bit less of all three of those things when they were both running at the same time. And obviously that could be a little unfair, so what I did was ran them individually and had them in the same place in the world, and this time it was actually 1.13 using up more CPU, a lot more RAM and more GPU. Anyway, these are very crude tests, we can't take too much away from them, but we have learned that FPS seems to be significantly better in 1.14. So the next thing we're going to do is check out mob farms. I have one in my base. It's hidden up there in the walls and it is a guardian farm. Now I have a data pack both in 1.13 and 1.14 that will help us count the guardians that are dying in the world. So we run this command right here and up comes a menu, and what we're going to do is we're going to start counting mobs, and you can see on the side of the screen immediately it's detected 4 or 5 guardian deaths. So I can visit different farms on the Hermitcraft server, stand here for a while, and then we can get a number that we can compare between the two versions. So I'm going to stand here for 5 minutes, and when that time is up we're going to take that number and then compare it to 1.13. So there it is, 321 in 5 minutes, and in 1.13 that was 221. So this farm possibly operating better in 1.14? Crazy. The next mob farm we shall test will be far more interesting because there will be multiple types of mobs being killed at once. We have Tango's general mob farm right here. You can see inside of here there are zombies, creepers, spiders and skeletons, and we're going to be counting all of them. Now the way for me to activate this farm is by standing on the pressure plate up here. So once again we're doing a 5-minute test, and in both 1.14 and 13 I'm simply just going to stand on this pressure plate for 5 minutes and see how many drops we get. Well, this test has given us some insight into what mobs are most common inside of Tango's farm. As you can see, the creepers and spiders are the most popular, but unfortunately it wasn't as fast as the 1.13 farm. And here is your side-by-side comparison of the two different versions, the left being 1.13. I'll tally it up so you can see the total amount, but obviously far more mobs spawning in 1.13. The same can be said for Impulse's gold farm as well. The right hand side is approaching 2,000 kills, that is 1.13, and the left hand side is 1,200. I started these pretty much at the same time, seconds apart from one another, and the right hand side is consistently pulled ahead. So clearly in 1.14 this farm is going to be affected, but not so much that it stops the farm working completely. We're still getting lots of pigman spawns and they're staying aggressive, so that's good, but the farm is going to be slower. Once again, we have 1.13 on the right, 1.14 on the left, and to me, these kind of look like they're just about the same. There is such a crazy amount of Endermen. We will be counting them in a second. First of all, though, down here you can see we've got 2 command blocks. This one is destroying the Ender Pearls that the Endermen drop, and then this one is killing the Endermen that land at this location right here. So that allows us to see the farm in action, but kill them once they get into the killing area. Once again, steadily, the right-hand side is pulling in front. It's now 50 kills in front, and that'll continue to go up. One thing I've noticed is look at the death animation on the Enderman on the left around the killing area. It's like their bodies are being teleported back in. That is really strange, and I suspect it's something to do with them trying to teleport away while they are getting killed. Okay, we're going to look at just this one now and see if the chunk border would affect this. So, because there is a chunk border in the middle here, this would have slowed down the farm a little bit. If you saw my recent myth-busting episode, you'd understand why. Although in that video I did say go and check out Nembom's video. So if you want to know more about why this farm is nerfed in 1.14, there'll be a link to his video in the description box below. And last but certainly not least, we have arrived at the almighty hole in the ground where Mr. Mumbo Jumbo has built his witch farm. Now, mobs aren't able to spawn on soul sand in this update, and perfect timing, a witch has just spawned inside of the farm, and you can see that it spawned on top of the stone bricks and not the soul sand. I believe this farm still works, but that means that the rates are pretty much cut in half or worse due to the changes in 1.14. So we're going to fire this farm up and I'm going to do the side-by-side comparison again. There goes the witch, yes, and we can count it. So the farm does indeed still work. Right, I'm going to go up the top there, reset the counter, and we'll do a side-by-side test. One thing I can say is this farm is slow. I've been at it for 15 minutes, and on the right hand side we have 316 witch deaths, and on the left only 108. So it seems that the farm has been nerfed by 2/3, so it's 3 times as fast in 1.13. That is bad news for Mr. Mumbo Jumbo. And just a reminder, this video was recorded with Minecraft 1.14. It just so happens the day I wanted to release this video, Mojang might release 1.14.1, and maybe some of this testing would be redundant, I'm not sure, but it's interesting to see. And it looks like the Hermitcraft server will be okay once they take care of that chunk loading issue. And that's about all I've got time for today, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like. As always, thank you for doing that, it supports the channel. And while you're here, make sure you're subscribed and check out the videos on the screen if you haven't seen them already. They're related to 1.14, and I'm sure we'll have some more 1.14 videos soon. Anyway, I'm waffling. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.